I thought maybe I would do a little video presentation today on just short, little quick tutorial on something that a lot of people have asked me about. Um, it is, what do I do if I get a mask from somebody or company and I don't like the paint job on it and I want to repaint it or rehaul it or do it by myself? Can I just paint over it, the existing paint job? And the answer is yes, you can, but it may not look as good as if you do what I'm about to show you. And I'll use this example. I got a mask from somebody that had white paint all over it. And what I've been doing in the process of this is I've been stripping this back to the original latex. So in essence what I'm doing is I'm removing the paint job that was on it, because the person that had it started a project that they were doing with it and messed it up and no longer wanted it, and so then I said, well, don't throw it out, just send it to me and I'll restore it and do up whatever color you want in it. Now the process that I'm using is called naphtha, and you can pick it up at pretty much any hardware store. It is a paint thinner lacquer stripper, and basically what you do is just take a paper towel, fold it up in quarters, grab dip it in naphtha, and find your spot on the mask. And I'll show you, for example, here. I've got this white right there on the side here. And all I'm going to do is just lay this on a little ball and just take this and rub this naphtha on there. And even though this is essentially latex-based paint, in other words, there's latex in the paint, this stuff is good enough where it will take all of that off. Now, some artists out there they paint multiple layers. They will do a base paint with latex and the base paint of latex with the paint. And then they will also do that's kind of like to adhere the paint to the mask. And then they will follow up by either doing more latex-based paints on top of that, or regular paint layers on top of that with latex, on top of the latex paint. I've seen a couple of masks, and this is a rarity, but I've seen a couple of masks that are almost 4 and 5 layers deep in paint. So if you have something that has a lot of detail and you want to strip it down and redo it, it could take quite a while for you to do that. And the fact that this mask fortunately just has 1 layer on it. It's taking me probably a couple of hours to do it, to kind of strip it back. And it's not that it's a time-consuming process to do this. But if you're patient and you have the determination to do it in the right way, and this is just me speaking as an artist. I'm not criticizing anybody for how they do what they do. But to me, people that do rehauls or repaints of masks, a lot of the time they will use the existing paint base to paint over, and in some times that does work. But the way my mental process works, I cannot personally do that. I have to be able to get all of the paint that exists off of the mask. If they want a rehaul done or they want a repaint done, I'm not going to take the lazy way out. And like I said, this is not being critical of anybody else for doing this. Just to me, personally, I think it's just a lazy man's way of doing things, where you just paint over an existing paint job and say, job well done. If you really want to challenge yourself on a good paint job, strip the mask back to the original latex foundations and start from the ground up. And here we have the cheek and chin area kind of cleaned up. It's not perfect because there's a lot of cracks and crevices in here that need to be cleaned up. But there again, you know, it just takes a little bit of time and elbow grease, and you can effectively work the entire mask back to the original latex foundations. Now, some people have said, what can I use to do this quickly? There are 3 different types of paint strippers. You have lacquer thinner, you have naphtha, and you have acetone. And I have all 3 of those down here on the floor. Acetone is by far the strongest one, but I don't recommend it for the sake of the fact that if you have a mask that might have pinholes or things in it that haven't been repaired prior to the paint job, and there are people that will not see that until it's too late, really. If they don't know their molds have pinholes in them, or maybe the latex is old and it's just started to slightly deteriorate, and it will have what we, in the taxidermy industry, one of the things that we had a problem with the skins, when you tan a skin and you hang it up, you have to keep it in a pretty clean state, because there's these little bugs that get in there and they bore. They're called bore bugs or bore holes, and they're just little worms or weevil type bugs, like little flies and stuff. And they get in there and they eat little tiny pinholes in the skin. And so that's what I commonly refer to as bore holes in the mask when I say, oh, it's got a bunch of bore holes in it. And people are like, what are you talking about there? And that's what I'm referring to. That's my taxidermy mind going back to what I know. And it's basically just air holes, little tiny air holes in the mold that you can't see with the eye until you start to paint. And then a lot of the time, yeah, people will, they're so tiny and microscopic, they can be covered up with paint. And it's, it's effective. It doesn't hurt the mask. Nothing wrong with it. But this is getting back to the acetone. The process, when you have a strong solvent like acetone, it's got such a strong chemical composition, chances are it can get in those little bore holes and weaken the latex. And you do not want that to happen, because if you get acetone in there and it runs the risk of weakening the latex, when you paint the mask and it dries, you can actually try to pull it on, and it will stretch and pull and rip and tear at that weak spot, and effectively it could damage the mask pretty much beyond repair by making little pinholes bigger and the bore holes bigger. And so I just want to clarify that I do not recommend acetone for a solvent cleaner on any latex mask. It is good for stripping and really getting paint out of paintbrushes and airbrushes and things like that, but it is not. And with airbrushes, yeah, I've soaked my airbrushes in acetone for a brief period to really get them clean and cleared out. I don't worry so much about O-rings and that type of thing, because when you take all that out, it really clears a path for the paint to flow through an airbrush effectively. That's one of the happy accidents that I've learned in airbrushing. O-rings and things like that really don't mean much. they're just put in there for aesthetics and that type of thing. But if you take them out, you don't damage the airbrush. You actually increase the performance. So if an O-ring does dissolve in an airbrush, it's not a big thing. Just, you know, you can continue to paint with it. Because I use the cheap little $12 Amazon Chinese airbrushes. I'm not one that will spend $100 on a airbrush from, you know, Posh or Posh H or whatever it is, because my paint jobs aren't going to be. I'm trying to be a Picasso with the mask or the canvas, whatever it is I'm working on, whether it be the dinosaurs or the mask or the resin bar. I am trying to do a unique style, you know, but even Picasso did not use high quality, you know, $100 brushes. The dude probably used like chip brushes and shit. So, you know, it's not the tools so much as it is the eye of the artist and the imagination and the application of the paint to whatever canvas is being used, whether it's latex or whatnot. Anyway, rambling on. Just trying to kill time here to show you guys the effectiveness of this. And I've been doing this for probably about a day now. I did off and on yesterday and then come out here and do a little bit more. But just to show you guys real quick. That is cleaned out pretty good. I still got some to go. And then what I'll do for the small areas that I can't really get into, like say up here on the forehead, on these cracks and crevices, you can take a soft toothbrush, dip it in the acetone, and rub it on there. And those bristles with the acetone will pull that paint out, and it'll be soft enough that it won't cause damage to the mask or the latex itself. So basically that's it on the you know, paint stripping part of this. I've still got a little bit of work to do on this to get it done effectively. So I just want to take a minute and talk to you guys just about one of the effective ways that you can take your mask that you're not really happy with the paint job and you think you might want to redo it, or you're wondering how it's done. Like I said, very easy. Naphtha, paper towels, and a little bit of elbow grease, and you can bring a mask all the way back down to the foundations of latex, and then you've got a clean canvas to start fresh on, where you can use your imagination and your creativity and your colors of choice. I'm very big on the Wicked line and Creatix. I love Creatix. I do have some others. But the Creatix and the Tim Gore, these are my primary go-tos. Tim Gore Bloodline. I really love Tim Gore's Bloodline and the Wicked colors, and that's pretty much all I paint in. I've got a variety, a multitude of colors that I've invested in to do stuff. And the reason I do that is because the Creatix line has a shading system with the airbrushing, the way the paints go, that make it really beautiful blend. Even when they overlap each other, if they start to, you want to blend in, like if you were spraying a brown, and then you spray, or you spray red and green, it makes brown. If you spray blue and green, my bad. Blue and green, and it makes brown. You can actually do blue and yellow. Geez, I don't know my colors. Whatever colors that you're trying to make, if you want to do two different, you can mix them, or you can actually have the soft coloring blend by overlapping the shades, and they blend so well together. You cannot see any lines or drip marks or anything like that. of the stuff I do because the colors just mesh so well together. But anyway, getting off topic here. So I'm going to continue working on this one, but like I said, you know, it's just a little tutorial on paint stripping from the mask. And you can just take that all the way back to the latex and get a very good, nice, smooth, good feel on the latex. It comes back, and here's the back of it, and the back of it's completely clean. That wasn't all affected by the paint. But that's pretty much it. So I'm glad, I'm hoping this will help somebody in, you know, learning how to do stuff on their own. Like I said, this is a big, you know, thing. I think this is probably $10, $15, if that, at the hardware store. If you go to a major distributor like Lowe's or Menards or Home Depot or any number of major hardware distributors, they will have this. What you want to ask for is naphtha. 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 So that's the stuff that will work a little bit stronger than lacquer finish, lacquer thinner, and it is less, softer than the acetone. So that's pretty much it. Thank you very much, and we'll talk to you later.